Hello all, I am Scott Grove and welcome to my acoustic guitar lessons. I want you to know that on this channel everything will be moving right along, not a bunch of stammering and stuff that you don't need to know. These will be all things that you just definitely need to learn how to play. This will be a cuss-free channel and not even little hints of such things. I'm actually going to start from almost the very beginning, and every lesson will be numbered. Every lesson will fall at right about 20 minutes. Okay? So that's actually less time than a sitcom with all of the commercials taken out. Okay, I am going to start at the point that you basically have your guitar. It already plays good because you have had it set up. I will give you setup instructions later for you to be able to do that yourself, and I expect you from this point to already know how to tune your guitar. I will give you a couple pointers today along with the lessons. Okay, so what I'm playing here today is a rain song. It's a carbon graphite guitar, every last bit of it, no wood in here whatsoever, so you can take it to the bottom part of the world or the top part of the world, nice and cold either place, or take it out to the equator and be sunny as all get out. Leave it in your car for 3 weeks and it will not hurt your guitar. So maybe something to think about later on in life. Instead of making a whole bunch of purchases on wooden guitars that require way too much maintenance, maybe think about good carbon graphite. Again, this is the Rain Song. This is a black ice model. The best guitar I have found yet after 45 years. Okay, so I want to let you know, we'll go right up here to the headstock, top of the guitar. Most of these are going to have 3 tuners per side that you actually tighten in a normal righty-tighty, lefty-loosey thing. Okay, and you always want them to go to the inside of the tuner. I've seen some people with them on the outside, then the next one on the inside. So everyone will go to the inside, meaning inside here. And then it goes around, okay? It doesn't ever go out here and then go around. So every string will line up right through there and go on the inside of it where it wraps around. Okay, now again, like I said, I know that you have been expected to know how to tune your guitar. Now here's the part you don't know about if you're watching this very first lesson, is when you actually tune your guitar using an electronic tuner. Okay, real quick, the reason you want to use an electronic tuner are 2 reasons. People like to fight about this, but these are truths. Guitars are very imperfect when it comes to the frets. So trying to tune, if you know about this, going to the 5th fret of your low E string, playing it, then your A string, open, doing that method all the way down, then, okay, if you know that method, and like I said, you're already tuning your guitar, do not use that method, okay? Find a new way, which is going to be an electronic guitar tuner. And get one that is chromatic. That means it will read all 11 notes of the guitar. Okay? Because at 12 it repeats itself and starts over again. If you get one that only has 6 notes on it, the 6 strings, it will not benefit you in any way to know like what a G sharp if it's in tune, because I will be talking a lot about such things, because those are going to be the things that are going to drive you crazy. Your guitar is going to sound out of tune all the time if you don't follow my instructions. And these are very sound instructions. The last way to not tune is by what are called harmonics, where you play directly above the string but not pressing down at all. You play right on above the 5th fret, like on the low E string, chime, then the 7th fret of the A, then down, 5, 7, 5. Okay, when you actually scope these out on a guitar tuner and you tune that way, then put it on a tuner, it will be way off because these are not exact at all. It is the 5th fret one is fine. The 7th one is just off enough to make your whole guitar sound horrible. So this means do not tune your guitar to itself. Okay, it's a kind of a strange way to put it, but you actually have to tune the guitar to a tuner. Don't keep tuning stuff till the whole guitar just kind of works out, because then when you get one chord sounding good like this, then you go to play the next chord, it's going to sound like this. You've heard that. When you get everything in tune for one chord, then you switch, then it's all messed up and you try to match it. No. So electronic tuner, great. Now here's how you do it. Electronic tuner, you put it on high E and you tune it. Okay, so it's flat, meaning it's below the note you need. It's supposed to be an E. So you turn it righty-tighty. Keep hitting it. Okay, just all the way through. Don't hit it once and then try to get it in tune. Keep playing it. Then when it's perfectly in tune, take the string, grab it, yank on it a little bit, bend it up in the air and do all this kind of fun stuff. Then look at it again on your tuner. Start over. Mine's flat, I'm going to tune it back up again. This is what is called stretching your strings, and you do that until it doesn't go out of tune anymore. Then your guitar will really not go out of tune hardly at all. You try to play your guitar, you pick it up, it's always out of tune. This is what solves that. It's called stretching your strings. When you get good at it, it will take 3 to 5 minutes total, and they will be stretched forever and ever. Okay, so the rest of this is you keep your high E string perfectly in tune with the electronic tuner you're using. The B string, perfectly in tune. Now the next 4, they actually are not nice and smooth like these. This is going to be your G string, your D string, your A string, and your low E string. All of these strings, right here, they have the winding on them. So it's actually one of these little strings with another string wrapped around it a whole bunch of times. Now the difference between these are, you can even look down at them, but these high ones, all snappy, but you can look down and see this thing just flopping around. Okay, so it actually, the harder you hit these strings that actually have the wrapping around them, they actually go sharper as you're playing, which is another reason why it is very important that when you're tuning, especially these lower strings, that you keep hitting them at the same amount of pressure that you would when you're playing. Okay, so that low E string, if it was, say it's, this is never good. This is another thing that's good to show you though. You never tune up. Okay? Okay, no. You actually do tune up, and that's the way you leave it. You do not tune down. Okay, so I'm going to tune up and go past the E. Okay? Okay, so I'm up to F. Now I'm going to bring it down to E. And if I just leave it after it being high and then taking it low, that is a crucial mistake. Because now if you play on it and you don't stretch it, it will go out of tune real quick. Quicker than when it was new. So always, always, after tuning from a note that was too sharp, down, then grab that string again, stretch it all over the place. I know it seems worthless, but being in tune is a beautiful thing. Now it's very flat, but usually just one time of stretching it through, there, now you're good to play. Okay, And now what you want to do is actually tune all 4 of these strings that are wound just a little bit flat. Okay, so tune them really flat, get them stretched out, and then for your final tuning, get it so it's almost in tune, but not quite. It's not much, it's just enough. Because here's what you actually get. You'll get like an E chord, and all of these come later, but these notes that are played down here in what is called the cowboy chord area, like the first 3 frets is where every chord in the world that you're going to learn for the next 5 or 6 lessons anyway, are played at. And all of these are going to sound really bad if you don't do this, because again the guitar is not designed perfectly, because not saying that it can't be, but it's very difficult for it to be done without electronics that make it do so. Okay, so like on your G string, if it is actually in tune and not flat, okay, it is in tune. Now I'm going to play an E chord. Okay, and this is what is called the third of a chord. This will come later during theory. Everything else is tuned the way it should be. The other strings are tuned slightly flat. Now the G string is tuned perfectly in tune, like your other 2 strings were your B and E. Now that you've heard this before, if you know how to play at all, here's an E chord, okay? That G string always sounds out of tune. Yeah, that's why this works. And you hear that and you start messing with things. Don't start messing with things. Use a tuner. Turn it back on. Tune down. Below the note. Stretch it. Okay, I use a pick. Stretch it right here where the hole is, and then I use a finger on this hand. They kind of just bend it up and down a couple times. Tune it back up. So that's what they mean when they're tuning up. You always tune up when you're finally done. You never tune down without stretching everything and then tune it back up to where it needs to be. Okay, so now I'm going. Almost in tune with all the low strings. So now, perfect. Because again, these strings flop around so much, the pitch actually raises the harder you play them. These don't, because they're so tight and small. They're just strung on there and they just barely move. But you can physically see the ones that are wound moving. Okay? So that is a beautiful thing that you should know about tuning your guitar. Once again, all the wound strings, tune them slightly flat. I'm not talking where you can really notice it, but just enough. You'll tune it a few times, you'll stretch it every time, and watch your tuner. You guys have to fall in love with your tuners, because you'll eventually say, ah, I get it. Okay? Now, a couple other things that I want to let you know about. As far as strings go, these are just very, these have been very, very good to me. Back in 1997, Elixir Company, they're actually D'Addario strings, which Gore Industries has put a special web coating on. They came out with this beautiful package. Since then, they've changed it to this. But these are Elixir poly webs. I like these the most. They also offer them with less coating on them. But these are the ones that work best because of the way they coat them. It's just a trust issue, trust me. They can last you years instead of days. Okay, and then you can go to what are called nano webs, which have less of the coating on it, and then they've got some new other stuff that will just fall right off. But it basically, if you could So your strings, it's like this. It does not allow dirt on there. Okay, so great strings, they work perfectly. And I will never use another string on any instrument in the world. Guitar picks, subject to whatever you want to. I have found these two to be the best for pretty much everything. I used these for so many years. These are made by Jim Dunlop. These are made of Tortex. They have, that's why there's a turtle there for the tortoise. And this is 73 millimeters. Okay? And you can try and see what you like, but this one is pretty much the flavor of the world. Of course, try your own stuff, but I bet you'll go right to this one. And it has a little bit of a coating on there to try to keep it from falling out of your fingers if your fingers sweat. And my only other choice that I will ever use are called Cactus Picks. These are just called heavies. Let that focus in for you, if it will. If I can get me out of the way. Okay, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. There you go. And it says heavy on it. It's got all these little spines and prickly pieces of plastic all on there from the way it was molded. Again, Cactus Picks. And it says right there, heavy. Those actually dig into your fingers, and no, they don't hurt. And it just, I mean, you cannot lose your pick no matter how hard you try. Okay, so that's a beautiful thing. I would not suggest any other ones. Those are what I use after all these years, and a lot of the world, like I said, they stick with this one unless you do sweat a lot. Then they go to this. Picks are as personal as strings are. You just figure out over the years what works for you. These are what work for me. Okay? The lesson here will not actually get to playing. The next one will. Again, so you're going to be in tune now. Okay, and remember, if your guitar is not set up, well, then get it done, or you can learn to do it yourself very easily via my other channel, Groovy Music Lessons. Has a lot of videos. Okay, here is what I mean. See how close those strings are? All the way down. It's a breeze. If your guitar hurts at all to play it, then it is simply not set up. That is it. Do not leave it in the cold. Do not leave it in the heat. Unless you have one of these, then it will never matter. Okay? So think about buying the best guitar you can, but if it's made of wood, it will eventually have problems. If it's made of carbon graphite, it's going to cost you a couple grand, but you'll never have a problem. Yeah, it's a heck of a trade-off. Electronics are always nice. They put them in some of the cheapest guitars now. I highly recommend it just for that tuner that's on there, so you never have to look for one. So I will teach you a little more about setting your guitar up later, but if your strings aren't perfect and low and they don't hurt your fingers, it really needs to be set up a lot. Okay, a lot of acoustic guitars, they come with one place here to hang your strap, but they don't have one anywhere else. Okay, so they give you a shoelace to hook to your strap to kind of put between your guitar strings and tie it on there. If that's you, groovy. That was done back in the 1800s. The way the real world does it this way and safely is to pre-drill a pilot hole, and this is where it goes. Okay, right there on the neck. So if you're looking at the back of it, then you're looking over at your right hand side, but it goes right there. If you put it here, you're going to split your neck in half. Okay, so don't put it anywhere else. Don't stick it here, because there's nothing under there to keep it supported. This is where it goes, period. And it'll keep it out of the way of you going all the way up there. If you do have a cutaway, I always suggest a cutaway. So there you go. That's exactly where it goes. Nowhere else. And again, use a drill and put that in there. Otherwise you're going to split your neck. Okay, so once again, I am Scott Grove, and come back for the very next lesson. Again, they'll all be right about 20 minutes. The next one, we will get started on actually playing the thing. And just hope you enjoyed the intro, and let's get started. Hope you guys have a lot of fun. Check you later.